What happens when you come home and discover your own key no longer works, and the laughter on the other end of the phone tells you it was planned? I stood on my porch with groceries in my hands, while my daughter's husband explained calmly that everything had changed overnight. By morning, the same people who erased me were begging me to answer their calls. Before we continue, we ask you to hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We would like to get to know our audience better. The key felt wrong before it even touched the lock. I noticed it on the way up the porch steps. Something about the brass catch that usually caught the late afternoon light. Different, newer, shinier than the weathered fixture I'd been turning for the past 15 years. I shifted the grocery bags to one arm and tried anyway. Nothing. The key went in halfway and stopped. Not jammed, not stuck, just wrong, like trying to fit a puzzle piece into a space that had been recut overnight. I pulled it out, examined the teeth in the fading sunlight, tried again slower this time. Deliberate, careful, same result. The mechanism rejected it completely. My pulse hadn't quickened yet. There are reasonable explanations for things like this. Locks jam, keys wear down, metal fatigues after 30 years of daily use. Temperature changes cause expansion, dirt gets lodged in the pins. I'd called locksmiths before, fixed stuck deadbolts, replaced worn tumblers. But something about this felt intentional. I set the bags down carefully on the porch, eggs on top, bread beneath, milk already warming in the May heat, and tried the handle. Locked tight, not just engaged, bolted, like someone had turned it from the inside and walked away. My phone was already in my hand before I made the conscious decision to call. Muscle memory. The number I'd dialed 10,000 times. Lena always answered, even when she was busy, even when she was upset about something I hadn't noticed yet, even when we'd argued the week before about something I couldn't quite remember now. She picked up by the third ring. This time, someone else answered. Rhett. Evan's voice came through smooth and unbothered, like he'd been waiting by the phone, like he'd expected this exact call at this exact moment. Let me save you some time here. I didn't respond immediately. There was noise in the background, television volume too loud, crowd laughter from some sitcom I didn't recognize, comfortable sounds, domestic sounds, the acoustics of someone settled into a living room they believed was theirs. The house isn't yours anymore, he said. There was a smile in his voice. Not cruel, exactly. Not mocking in the obvious way. More like someone explaining a simple fact to a child who'd finally noticed what adults had decided weeks ago. Locks got changed this morning. Lena signed everything last week. It's all handled. Legal. Done. I looked at the door, at the bags sweating on the porch, at the window where I used to see the lamp my wife picked out 15 years ago, the one with the fabric shade she'd chosen because it cast warm light during winter evenings. Where's Lena? I asked. My voice sounded strange, distant, like I was listening to someone else ask the question. She's here. She's fine. She just doesn't want to. He paused, and I heard a muffled sound, like a hand covering the receiver. Voices in the background. Hers, his. I couldn't make out words, just tones. When he came back, his tone had shifted, sharper, less patient. Look, man, you weren't using the place anyway. You're always traveling for work, 3 weeks out of 4. This just makes sense. You don't need this much space. The groceries were getting warm. I'd bought eggs specifically because I'd planned to make breakfast tomorrow. Real breakfast. The kind I used to make on Saturday mornings when my wife was alive and Lena was young enough to sit at the counter and talk about school projects. I'm standing outside my house, I said quietly. Your old house. Evan laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was bright and genuine, like I'd told an unexpectedly good joke. Come on, don't make this harder than it has to be. You'll get your stuff. We're not unreasonable. We'll pack everything. You can pick it up whenever. This doesn't have to be ugly. My thumb hovered over the screen. One tap to end the call, one more to block the number. Instead, I waited. Let the silence stretch. Counted to 10 in my head while Evan breathed on the other end of the line. "Rhett, you still there?" I looked at the door one more time. The new lock gleaming in the porch light that had just clicked on automatically, the sensor still set to my old schedule. The curtains drawn shut against the evening, the doormat that said "Welcome" in letters my wife had chosen. Then I picked up the grocery bags and walked back to my car. "Yeah," I said, "I'm here." "Good. So we understand each other." I set the bags in the passenger seat, closed the door gently, started the engine. The dashboard clock read 6:47 p.m. I'd left the office at 6:15. The drive had taken exactly 22 minutes. A normal Tuesday, routine, until it wasn't. "Perfectly," I said, and ended the call. The phone buzzed twice before I reached the corner. I didn't look, just drove, past the neighbors' houses with their lit windows and ordinary evenings, past the park where I used to take Lena when she was 6, past the grocery store I'd just left 30 minutes ago. I drove until I found a hotel, extended stay, weekly rates, a parking lot half empty, and a lobby that smelled like carpet cleaner and burnt coffee. The clerk barely looked at me. "How many nights?" "I don't know yet," I said. She handed me a key card. Room 237. Second floor, non-smoking. The hotel room smelled like industrial carpet cleaner and reheated air. I set my suitcase on the luggage rack. I'd grabbed it from the trunk, still packed from last week's trip to Portland, and sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing my coat. The eggs were ruined. I'd left them in the car. By morning, they'd be spoiled. 48 hours of refrigeration undone in a single evening. My phone sat next to me on the nightstand, face down, vibrating every few minutes. The rhythm was irregular. Text, call, text, pause, 2 calls back to back. I didn't flip it over. Instead, I tried to trace backward, not emotionally, that would come later or maybe never, but logically, step by step, decision by decision. When did the key stop being mine? When did my name stop meaning anything? When did silence become permission to erase me? 6 months ago, Evan had mentioned consolidating assets. I was in the middle of a contract negotiation in Denver, listening on speakerphone while reviewing supplier terms at a Marriott desk that looked exactly like every other Marriott desk I'd worked at that year. He'd used phrases like streamlining the household finances and creating family efficiency, corporate language applied to domestic life. I'd said something vague. "Sure, whatever makes sense. You two figure it out." That was the first mistake, treating courtesy like consent, assuming "figure it out" meant something reasonable, something that included me. 4 months ago, a letter came from the county assessor's office, property tax notification, addressed to occupant, not to Rhett Jossman, not to the name that had been on file for 8 years. Just occupant, like I'd become generic, replaceable. I'd assumed it was a clerical error, put it in a drawer, meant to call, forgot. 3 months ago, Lena stopped copying me on household emails, utilities, insurance renewals, HOA updates about the broken sprinkler system, and the annual tree trimming. When I asked about it, casually, not accusingly, she said Evan had set up a better system, something about shared folders and automatic forwarding. I was traveling. She was stressed. I didn't push. 2 months ago, I came home to new furniture. The couch I'd bought with my wife, the one we'd argued about in the showroom because she wanted leather and I wanted fabric, and we'd compromised on microfiber, gone, replaced with something gray and low to the ground, modern, uncomfortable. Lena said the old one was falling apart, that it had stains we couldn't get out. I didn't argue. I was only home 4 days that month. Last month, I tried to update the address on my car registration. The DMV website flagged a conflict. Property ownership discrepancy detected. Please contact your county clerk. I called the helpline, got transferred 3 times, spent 40 minutes on hold listening to a recording about enhanced security measures, Gave up. Made a note to deal with it later. There was no single moment, no dramatic confrontation, no legal document presented for signature, just a series of small erasures that I'd allowed because I was tired, because I trusted, because silence seemed easier than conflict, because I'd learned long ago that pushing back on family creates wounds that never quite heal. The phone buzzed again, longer this time, a call. I picked it up. A text from Lena. "Dad, please, can we talk? This isn't what I wanted. I didn't know he was going to be like this." I stared at the message, read it 3 times, noticed what was missing. No apology, no explanation, just a vague claim of ignorance and a request for access. I set it back down. The coffee shop opened at 5. I was there at 5:15, the only customer besides a man in a high-vis vest reading the paper at a corner table. Construction worker, maybe, or utility repair. Someone whose day started before sunrise. I ordered black coffee and sat by the window, watching the neighborhood wake up. People walking dogs, joggers with reflective stripes glowing in the streetlights, a delivery truck blocking the crosswalk while the driver checked his phone. Normal life. Continuing. Unaware that mine had stopped. My phone buzzed. Another text. This one from Evan. "Don't be dramatic. We can work this out. You're acting like we committed some crime. It's just real estate." Just real estate. Like the house was abstract, a tax form, a line item on a balance sheet, not the place where I'd carried my wife over the threshold, where Lena had taken her first steps, where we'd hosted Christmas dinners and birthday parties and quiet Sunday mornings that felt like everything. I deleted it without reading past the preview. The man in the vest looked up from his paper. Our eyes met for half a second. He nodded slightly, the way men do when they recognize something in another person they don't want to name. Then he went back to reading. Something about that small gesture, acknowledgement without intrusion, steadied me. I pulled out my laptop and opened my email. Scrolled past the work messages, the automated notifications, the subscription renewals I kept meaning to cancel. Found the folder labeled Property Archive. I hadn't opened it in years, 3, maybe 4. Not since the refinance that never happened, because the house was paid off and there was no point. Inside were dozens of PDFs, contracts, title transfers after my wife passed, mortgage payoff confirmation from 2015, tax records going back to 2009. All labeled and dated by a younger version of me who believed documents mattered, and that forever was safer than 7 years. I opened the most recent file, a quitclaim deed from 8 years ago, transferring ownership from joint tenancy to my name alone. Signed, notarized, recorded with the county clerk on March 14, 2017. The notary seal was clear in the scan. My name. Only my name. Not Lena's, not Evan's. Mine. My phone buzzed. An unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it, then answered. "Rhett, it's Phil. Facilities. I heard something odd yesterday." We'd shared an elevator maybe twice. Small talk, nothing more. "Someone came asking about your property," he said. "Whether you still lived there. Whether the title had transferred recently. Legal questions, ownership questions." It felt like someone checking facts before making a move. I sat up. "When?" "Yesterday afternoon, around 3. Guy in his 30s, said he was updating family records. Name was Evan, I think." I closed my eyes. "Thanks, Phil." After the call, I stared at the deed on my screen. Proof that whatever Evan thought he'd done, he hadn't. Another buzz. Lena. "Dad, please. This isn't what I wanted. You have to believe me." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened a new thread, to a name I'd saved years ago and never used. Marion Feld, real estate attorney. Need to confirm property ownership. Original documents available. Timeline urgent. Can you meet this week? Her reply came in under 2 minutes. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Bring everything. Don't talk to anyone before we meet. I set the phone down and finished my coffee. Outside, the city was waking up, unaware that my life had nearly been rewritten. But I knew, and I had documents. The conference room smelled like burned coffee and dry erase markers. Q2 goals lingered on the whiteboard in faded blue. I sat at the head of the table, laptop open, projections on the screen behind me. 11 in the room, 3 on video, everyone waiting. I walked them through the numbers, revenue by segment, retention by account size, cost reductions I'd negotiated over 6 months, 7% on raw materials, 12 on logistics, 4 on overhead. My voice stayed level. No theatrics, just data. When I finished, the VP nodded. Solid work, Rhett. Exactly what we needed for the board. The Denver contract alone offsets Miami. Well done. A question about Denver followed. I answered in 2 sentences. Precise. Complete. Across the table, Phil met my eyes and gave a subtle nod, the kind that says, I see you holding it together. The meeting ended at 10:47. People filed out. I packed up and noticed my phone lighting up. 4 missed calls, 6 texts, a voicemail. I turned it face down and left. Back at the hotel, the extended stay suite with an unused kitchenette and a squeaking Murphy bed, I opened the storage closet. Most of my belongings were still in the house, but I'd kept 1 box here. Files I'd moved during a trip and never unpacked. The label in my handwriting, Property plus Taxes 2009 present. Inside, folders were organized by year, color-coded. Green for tax returns, blue for escrow, yellow for county records, red for utilities, a system from when systems still mattered. I opened 2017, ownership transfer. The quitclaim deed lay on top, filed after my wife passed. Clear title, no co-owners, no ambiguity. Just my name, notarized by Patricia Gomez at a UPS store on a Tuesday afternoon I barely remembered. Beneath it were estate settlement documents. Debts satisfied, affidavits signed, liens cleared. Everything done by the book. I photographed each page carefully, checked the lighting, made sure every seal was legible. Uploaded the files to 3 separate cloud accounts. Then I checked the timestamps on the property tax payments and pulled up my bank account. The same one I'd had for 23 years, still sending paper statements out of habit. The record was clean, and it always had been. Every single property tax payment for the last 8 years had come from my account. Even the ones from the last 6 months when I'd supposedly been removed. October 2023, April 2024, October 2024, April 2025. All automatic withdrawals, all processed without issue. The texts kept coming. I skimmed them without opening the full messages. Evan, you're being childish. This is exactly why we made this decision. Lena. I didn't know he was going to change the locks. I swear, he said it was just paperwork. Evan again. She's crying right now. You happy? You're destroying your own daughter over pride. I set the phone aside and opened my laptop, pulled up the county assessor's website, entered my address. The public record loaded slowly, line by line, like it was being transmitted via telegraph. Owner of record, Rhett Jossman, date. Recorded March 14, 2017, no subsequent transfers, no amendments, no secondary claims filed, no notices of pending changes. I took a screenshot, saved it in 3 places, emailed it to myself, printed it on the hotel's business center printer for $2. Then I called Marion Feld. She answered on the second ring. Rhett, I have the documents, all of them. Original deed, tax payments, bank statements, county records, everything. Can we move the meeting up? There was a pause. I heard papers rustling in the background, a door closing. Her voice became more focused. How soon can you be here? 20 minutes. I'll clear my schedule. Come to the back entrance. Second door past the parking garage. Ring twice. The law office was on the 3rd floor of a building downtown, sandwiched between a dental practice and a financial planner's office. The lobby was quiet at 3 p.m., beige walls, framed diplomas behind glass. a receptionist who barely looked up when I entered, typing something on a keyboard with the intensity of someone transcribing nuclear launch codes. Marion met me in the hallway before I reached the main desk. She was tall, gray-haired, dressed in a blazer that looked like it had been tailored decades ago and maintained with religious care. No jewelry except a watch, no makeup, no smile, just a sharp, assessing gaze that cataloged everything about me in 3 seconds. She didn't offer small talk, just gestured toward her office. "Show me what you have." I laid out the folder on her desk. Deed, tax records going back 8 years, estate settlement documents, bank statements showing continuous mortgage payments even after payoff, then continuous property tax payments after that, utilities in my name, insurance policies that had never lapsed, everything. She read in silence, flipped pages methodically, cross-referenced dates against something on her computer screen I couldn't see. Her expression never changed. No surprise, no concern, no reaction at all. Just professional assessment. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I sat across from her and waited. Finally, she looked up. "Who told you this property was no longer yours?" "My daughter's husband. He said the locks were changed, that she signed paperwork last week, that it was legal and done." "Did you authorize any transfer of ownership? Any deed? Any title change?" "No." "Did you sign any quitclaim or grant deed in the last 12 months? Anything at all?" "No." "Did you make any verbal statements that could be interpreted as relinquishing ownership? You can have the house. It's yours now. Anything like that?" I thought back through 6 months of phone calls and scattered conversations. I said things like, whatever makes sense when they talked about consolidating, but I never said the house was theirs. I never signed anything. I never even discussed transferring title. Marion tapped the deed with one finger. "Then nothing has changed. Legally, this property is yours, solely yours. No one else has any claim to it." "But they changed the locks." "Changing a lock doesn't transfer ownership." Her voice was flat, matter-of-fact, like she was explaining that water flows downhill. "It's a physical act without legal consequence. At most, it's trespassing. At minimum, it's posturing by people who don't understand the difference between possession and ownership." She pulled a legal pad toward her and began writing. "Here's the situation. If someone filed a fraudulent deed, it would show up in county records within 72 hours. It doesn't. If someone tried to claim adverse possession, they'd need years of continuous occupation, plus clear evidence you abandoned the property. You haven't. You've been paying every bill on time. If someone forged your signature, there would be a notarized document with your name on it. There isn't. So what do they think they have? My guess? Copies of documents they don't understand, or a verbal agreement they're pretending is binding, or advice from someone unqualified who told them what they wanted to hear." She looked at me directly. "Have you made any statements that could be interpreted as relinquishing the property? Even casual ones?" I thought harder. "I told them to handle things while I was traveling. I said they could make decisions about the house when they asked about repairs, but I meant day-to-day stuff, calling plumbers, scheduling maintenance. Verbal ambiguity isn't a contract." She made another note. "But they're betting you won't fight back, that you'll accept their version of events because conflict is uncomfortable, that you'll cave to family pressure and sign whatever they put in front of you just to make it stop. They're wrong." Marion almost smiled, just a slight tightening at the corners of her mouth. "Good. Then we proceed carefully. No confrontation, no arguments, no emotional appeals, just corrections." She pulled out a template from her filing cabinet. "We'll send a formal notice to all parties currently occupying the residence. It will state, clearly and without hostility, that you remain the sole legal owner, that any claim to the contrary is invalid and unenforceable, and that you expect full access restored within 72 hours. And if they don't comply, then we file for unlawful detainer, but they'll comply." She closed the folder. People who play games with property law tend to fold the moment actual attorneys get involved, because suddenly it's not about family dynamics, it's about public records and civil penalties. I nodded. The tightness in my chest that had been there since last night loosened slightly. Not gone, just less crushing. One more thing, Marion said. Who authorized the lock change? Evan, my daughter's husband. Does he live there? He moved in about 8 months ago. Said it was temporary while they looked for their own place. Marion made another note. Then he's a guest who overstayed his welcome. We'll include that in the letter. Spell out his lack of legal standing. Make it very clear that possession without title is meaningless. I stood to leave, but she stopped me with a raised hand. Rhett, one question. Why did you wait until now? You could have stopped this months ago. When the mail changed, when the locks changed, why let it get this far? I looked at the folder on her desk, at the years of careful documentation, at the evidence of a life maintained through spreadsheets and labeled files and automatic payments set up by a younger version of myself who'd believed in preparation. I wanted to be sure, I said. Sure it was intentional, sure it wasn't a misunderstanding, sure I wasn't overreacting. And now you're sure. Yes. She handed me a business card with her direct line handwritten on the back. Stay reachable. Don't respond to any messages from them. Don't engage in any arguments. Let them panic while we work. This moves fast once it starts. I took the card, thanked her, walked out into the afternoon sun that felt different than it had an hour ago. Sharper. Clearer. The bank opened at 9. I was there at 8:50 with a leather folio holding every document Marion had reviewed, plus a few more I'd remembered overnight. The security guard unlocked the door at 9 sharp and nodded me inside. I asked for a supervisor, someone with full access. His name was Gerald Moss, mid-40s, wire-rimmed glasses, cautious and precise. He led me into a frosted glass office. How can I help you, Mr. Jossman? I need to confirm account ownership and update contact information on all property-related accounts. There's been unauthorized access. He pulled up my profile, scrolled, frowned slightly. Some addresses don't match, and I see secondary contacts added about 6 months ago. Do you have documentation? I slid the deed across the desk. He read it carefully, checked his screen, then another. Primary residence, sole owner, no co-signers, no joint tenancy. He paused. But secondary contacts were added on November 17th with your verbal authorization. I never authorized that. He pulled call logs. 2 minutes later, he turned the screen toward me. A transcript. My name. November 17th, 2:34 p.m. Call from my home phone. I opened my calendar. I was in Seattle that day. Client meeting confirmed. Gerald nodded. Someone called from your residence pretending to be you. Using your number bypassed initial security. This is identity fraud. Remove them. Immediately. He did. Flagged the account. Reset security questions. Enabled two-factor authentication. I updated every address, contact, and notification setting so everything came directly to me. Anything else? He asked. Yes. A printed history of every transaction from the last 12 months. He printed 43 pages. I sat there reviewing them, page by page, while he finalized the paperwork. Utilities paid on time from my checking account. Property tax withdrawn automatically from savings in October and April. Homeowners insurance annual premium processed in June. Everything in order, everything traceable directly to me, no gaps, no irregularities. I thanked him and left with a folder 2 inches thick. Outside, I sat in my car and called Marion. Gerald Moss at First National just confirmed unauthorized account access. Someone called from my home phone pretending to be me, added secondary users without my knowledge. I have the call transcripts. Perfect, Marion said. That's fraud. Adds criminal weight to the civil filing. Forward me everything. I'll incorporate it into the notice. I did. Then I drove past the house. My house. Slowly enough to observe, but not slow enough to look deliberate. New curtains in the living room window, sheer white ones replacing the heavy blue ones my wife had chosen. A different doormat, generic black instead of the burgundy one with decorative corners. Evan's truck in the driveway, parked at an angle like he owned the space. I didn't stop. Just noted the changes and kept driving. My phone buzzed. The group chat I'd been added to months ago, family updates, grocery lists, reminders about birthdays and anniversaries. Evan had posted a photo. The living room. New furniture arranged around a flat-screen TV I didn't recognize. Gray sectional, glass coffee table, everything modern and sterile. Caption, "Finally feeling like home, new beginnings." 3 reactions appeared within seconds. A heart from Lena, a thumbs up from her cousin Amy, a fire emoji from someone named Garrett I didn't know. I scrolled past without reacting, kept driving toward the hotel. The messages kept coming throughout the day like a drumbeat I'd learned to ignore. Lena, "Dad, please. This is getting out of hand. Can't we just talk like adults?" Evan, "Look, we can sit down and work this out. Face to face, no lawyers, just family." Lena again, "He said he didn't mean to laugh on the phone. He was just surprised you showed up without warning." I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I forwarded the bank transcript to Marion with a single line. "Unauthorized access confirmed. Account fraud documented." Her reply came in under a minute. "Perfect. This strengthens everything. Demonstrates pattern of deception. Stay silent. Let them wonder." That evening, I walked through my old neighborhood. Not my street. I stayed 1 block over, on Maple instead of Oak. Close enough to see the house from the corner intersection. The lights were on in every room. Shadows moving behind the curtains. Ordinary domestic life happening in a space I'd paid for, maintained, built memories in. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds. Long enough to see. Long enough to remember. Not long enough to be noticed by anyone looking out. Then I turned and walked back to the extended stay hotel, past the park with its empty swings moving slightly in the evening breeze, past the coffee shop where I'd sat this morning, past the bank where I'd reclaimed my accounts. The next morning, Marion called at 7:45. "The letter goes out today, certified mail, signature required. They'll have it by Friday afternoon at the latest." And then? Then we wait exactly 72 hours. They'll either comply or escalate. Either way, we're positioned. I've also prepared a secondary filing for unlawful detainer. If they don't vacate, we submit it Monday morning. You'll have full legal authority to reclaim physical possession. Understood. One more thing. Don't be surprised if they try to contact you directly. Bypass the legal process. Appeal to family loyalty, guilt. Whatever they think will work. Do not engage, not a single word. Every communication goes through me. I hung up and checked my email. A calendar invitation had appeared overnight. Sender, County Title Company. Subject, Ownership Verification Meeting, requested by E. Hale. The date was set for the following Tuesday, May 23rd, 10 a.m. Location, their office downtown on 4th Street. I opened the invitation details. Attendees, Rhett Jossman, Lena Jossman, Evan Hale, Marion Feld, Patricia Moreno, Title Officer. Purpose, to verify property ownership and resolve conflicting claims per request of E. Hale. Evan had just made a formal filing. He'd gone to the county and requested official verification, which meant he believed he had something substantial, documents, proof, a legitimate case. He'd asked the county to referee a dispute he was certain he'd win. I forwarded the invitation to Marion without comment. Her response came in 3 minutes. "He just handed us the perfect venue, official record, neutral arbitrator, public documentation. I'll prepare the exhibits. Bring nothing but yourself. Let me handle everything." I smiled for the first time in days. Actually smiled. Because Evan had just made the kind of mistake people make when they confuse confidence with competence. He'd asked for proof. Official proof. in front of witnesses who couldn't be manipulated or charmed or convinced by family dynamics. And I had proof, real proof, the kind that didn't care about intentions or feelings or who'd been living where, the kind that came with county seals and notarized signatures and 8 years of continuous documentation. The weekend passed in strange, muted stillness. I worked, reviewed client files, responded to emails, approved budget requests, the normal rhythms of a job that didn't know my personal life had fractured. On Saturday morning, I ran errands, groceries at a different store, one across town where I wouldn't accidentally run into neighbors, dry cleaning, oil change at a quick lube place where the mechanic asked if I was still at the same address for their records. I said yes and gave him the correct one. He updated his computer without question. Just another customer, another transaction, another small correction in the vast database of my existence. Everywhere I went, I corrected small things: magazine subscriptions, loyalty program accounts, the pharmacy where I picked up prescriptions twice a year, the auto parts store where I'd bought wiper blades last month. Each correction was tiny, unnoticed by anyone but me, but together they rebuilt the map of my life in the only place that mattered: institutional records, systems, documentation, the boring architecture of proof. On Sunday, I sat in the hotel room and reviewed Marion's document binder one final time. Not because I needed to memorize anything. I already knew every date, every signature, every recorded transaction by heart, but because I wanted to see them the way a stranger would. Clean, unambiguous, inarguable. Marion had prepared a 3-ring binder, professional, methodical, tabs labeled by category: ownership history, financial records, correspondence, county records, legal notices, chronological order within each section, a cover letter summarizing the facts in 3 paragraphs, no emotional language, no accusations, just statements of verifiable reality, professional, dispassionate. The kind of presentation that didn't need to be loud because it couldn't be ignored. I set it aside and made coffee in the kitchenette, checked my phone. No new messages since Friday afternoon. The group chat had gone quiet. The individual texts had stopped. Even Lena had fallen silent. That should have been a warning sign. Silence after panic usually means regrouping, planning. But I was too focused on Tuesday to consider what might come before it. I slept well that night. Better than I had in weeks. No interruptions. No unexpected sounds. No wondering if I'd hear a key in a lock I no longer controlled. The calls started at 4:47 a.m. Monday morning. I woke to the phone buzzing on the nightstand in the dark, reached for it reflexively, checked the screen through half-closed eyes. Lena. I let it ring out. It rang again immediately. Same number, same insistence. I silenced it and rolled over, pulling the pillow over my head. At 5:03, it buzzed with a text. Then another in rapid succession, then a voicemail notification. By 5:30, there were 6 missed calls. 4 from Lena, 2 from numbers I didn't recognize, 1 from the home landline I'd forgotten still existed. I got up, made coffee in the dark, and checked the voicemails. The first was Lena. Her voice was tight, controlled, like she was trying very hard not to cry in front of someone. "Dad, please call me back. Evan got a letter. From an attorney, it says..." A pause. Background noise. Evan's voice, muffed but angry. "Just call me. Please. We need to talk about this." The second was Evan. No attempt at control. Pure aggression. "What the hell did you do? You sent a lawyer after us? After your own daughter? Are you serious right now? You're going to tear this family apart over a house?" The third was Lena again, crying this time, full breakdown. "Dad, please, we can fix this. We can sit down and work it out. Just talk to us. Please, don't do this." I deleted them all without listening to the rest. The texts were worse, panicked, fragmented, desperate. "Evan, this is insane. You're going to ruin everything over a misunderstanding, over paperwork. Is that what matters to you? Forms?" Lena. I didn't know the letter was real. I thought you were just upset. I didn't think you'd actually hire a lawyer. Dad, please. Evan, call me back or I swear I'm coming to find you. We need to settle this face to face, man to man. Lena, Dad, please, he's freaking out. He's saying things, just answer. Just talk to me. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I poured a second cup of coffee, opened my laptop, checked my email. An automated message from the county title company. Meeting confirmed for Tuesday, May 23rd, 10 a.m. All parties notified. Please bring original documentation and government-issued identification. I confirmed receipt and closed the laptop. At 6:15, my phone rang again, this time from a number I recognized. Marion. They got the letter, she said without preamble. I know. The voicemail started at 4:47. Good. That means they're taking it seriously. How many calls? 6 so far, plus maybe 20 texts. Don't respond to any of them. Not a single word. Not even to say you got the messages. Radio silence. Let them spiral. Already done. Rhett. Her voice shifted, just slightly. Less clinical, almost warm. You're going to get more calls. Angrier ones. They're going to say things specifically designed to provoke you. Guilt. Obligation. Family loyalty. You're tearing the family apart. You're choosing a house over your daughter. None of it matters. The only conversation that matters happens Tuesday. I understand. And if they show up at your hotel, they don't know where I'm staying. I paid cash, used a different card. They have no way to find me. Good. Keep it that way. Maintain distance. Let the law work. She hung up. By 7, the group chat had exploded. Messages every few minutes. Building on each other. Feeding the panic. Evan, this is how you treat family? With lawyers and legal threats? Lena, Dad, please, I'm begging you, just talk to us. Evan, we have rights too. We've been living there for months. You can't just kick us out like we're nobody. Lena, can someone please talk to him? Anyone? Amy? Uncle Rick? Somebody? Her cousin Amy replied, Wait, what's going on? I'm confused. Evan, he lawyered up, sent us an eviction notice, says we have 72 hours to get out of the house. Amy, what? Why? Rhett, is that true? I muted the chat, turned off all notifications, made a third cup of coffee and watched the sun rise through the hotel window. At 8:30, there was a knock on my hotel room door. I looked through the peephole. No one there, just empty hallway. But a folded piece of paper had been slid under the door, white against the dark carpet. I picked it up, unfolded it. Handwritten. Lena's handwriting, the looping cursive she'd learned in 3rd grade and never changed. Dad, I'm in the lobby. Room 237. I know that's where you are. Please come down. Just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I'm not leaving until we talk. I read it twice, checked the peephole again. Still empty. Then I folded it carefully and set it on the desk next to Marion's business card. I didn't go down. At 9:00, my phone rang one more time. A number I didn't recognize. Local area code. I hesitated, then answered. Mr. Jossman? A woman's voice, professional, neutral, slightly bored. Yes. This is Patricia Moreno from County Title and Escrow. I'm calling to confirm you'll be attending Tuesday's meeting at 10 a.m. I will. Perfect. Just to clarify, you're listed as the original property owner requesting verification. Mr. Hale has indicated he'll be bringing additional documentation to support an alternative claim. Do you have everything you need for the meeting? Yes. My attorney has prepared all necessary materials. Excellent. We'll see you Tuesday morning. Please arrive 10 minutes early to complete check-in. She hung up. I sat on the edge of the bed and checked the time. 63 hours until the meeting. 63 hours of silence. 63 hours of letting them panic while I stayed calm. The phone buzzed one more time. Lena. I know you're ignoring me. I know you have every right to be angry, but please, just this once, answer. Talk to me. I'm your daughter. I read it. Felt something tighten in my chest. Then I turned the phone completely off. Outside, The city was waking up. Traffic sounds filtering in through the sealed window. The world continuing as it always did, indifferent to personal catastrophes. I stood, showered, dressed, made a fourth cup of coffee, opened the binder Marion had prepared, and read through it one final time. Every document aligned, every date matched, every signature verified, every transaction recorded. There was nothing left to do but wait. The title company occupied the second floor of a narrow building downtown, wedged between a parking garage and a coffee shop that smelled like burned espresso. Glass doors, marble floors, a reception desk with a woman who looked up when I entered at 9:47 a.m. She checked my name against a list. Mr. Jossman, conference room B, end of the hall on your right. The hallway was long and silent, except for the muffled sound of phones ringing behind closed doors. Conference room B had frosted glass walls and a wooden door with a silver handle. I opened it. The room was empty, a long table, 8 chairs, windows overlooking 4th Street, where morning traffic moved in patient lines. I set Marion's binder on the table and sat facing the door. At 9:55, footsteps in the hallway. Marion arrived. She nodded once and took the seat beside me, opened her briefcase and began arranging documents. At 10:02, more footsteps. The door opened. Lena entered first. Her eyes were red. She looked at me, opened her mouth, closed it, sat 3 chairs down. Evan followed. He was holding a folder, thick, overstuffed, papers sticking out at odd angles. He dropped into the chair across from me. Behind them, a woman in a gray suit, mid-50s. She introduced herself as Patricia Moreno, senior title officer, and sat at the head of the table. Thank you all for coming. This meeting was requested to verify property ownership and resolve any conflicting claims. Mr. Hale, you filed the initial request. Please present your documentation. Evan opened his folder, pulled out a stack of papers, slid them toward Patricia. This is a signed agreement, he said. Rhett verbally transferred ownership to Lena last year. We have this document. We've been paying all the bills, maintaining the property. He abandoned it. Patricia picked up the first page, scanned it, set it down, picked up the next. After a moment, she looked up. This is a handwritten note, unsigned, undated. It contains no legal language transferring title. He said she could have the house, Evan insisted. We have witnesses. Verbal statements don't transfer real property in this state, Patricia said evenly. Do you have a recorded deed? Evan hesitated. We were told it was being processed. By whom? A paralegal, someone Lena found online. Patricia's expression cooled. Was this paralegal a licensed attorney? Lena spoke for the first time. Her voice was small. I don't know. Patricia set Evan's papers aside. These documents hold no legal weight. She turned to me. Mr. Jossman, your documentation? Marion slid the binder across the table. Patricia opened it. The deed was on top. She examined it, checked the county seal, cross-referenced the recording number on her computer. She moved through each section: tax payments, bank records, insurance policies. She read in silence for 3 full minutes. Finally, she closed the binder. The ownership is clear. Rhett Jossman is the sole legal owner of the property. Title was transferred to him in 2017. No subsequent transfers have been recorded. All financial obligations have been met continuously by Mr. Jossman. She pulled out an official form, signed it, stamped it with the county seal. This is a certified statement of ownership, valid for all legal purposes. Marion took the form. Patricia stood. This meeting is concluded. Wait. Lena's voice cracked. Dad, please, can we just talk? I met her eyes. No, I said quietly. Marion touched my arm. Time to leave. I stood, picked up the binder, the certified statement, left the keys Evan had slid across the table untouched. We walked out, down the hallway, through the lobby, into the sunlight.